Hey there, welcome to Neppy Invest. So today I'm going to be talking about little company called Alexium. It is a company I bought a little stake in, and that stake was bought mainly because of a story. So usually don't probably recommend buying a story of a company because the management of a lot of companies can just spin that story in to make it look like it's a very good looking story when sometimes it's not that good looking. But I did buy into the Alexium story, but in particular, one of the products they're developing, and I'll get into that in a second or so. But the question is, why did the Alexium share price rise 25% just after the election? So I did notice one of these days, like last week sometime, one of the days, the share price did rise by a fair bit. And I did think, why did it rise by that amount? And fortunately, I did find a website that could have the reason behind that rise. And later on in this video, I'm going to look at the Appendix 4C for Alexium. So first question is, why did the share price rise substantially? So is a Biden presidency good for Alexium? So there's a website called Smallcapcom, and they gave their top 4 stocks that are going to benefit from a Biden presidency. And you guessed it or not, Alexium was one of those 4 companies. When I had a look at the share price of the other 3 companies, they also ran not quite as much as Alexium. So you can see Alexium went from 5.6 cents to 7% or 25%. Volume was 3.3 million, so on pretty good volume. So this next smallcap.com website must have a bit of sway with sort of the mum and dad investors. So how is a Biden presidency good for Alexium? Well, it all comes back to flame retardants. So brominated or bromine-based flame retardants are currently being banned across the world because of its toxicity. So they are fairly toxic. So most stuff do have flame retardants on it. So the furniture you're sitting on or whatnot they all have flame retardants. And a lot of those flame retardants are bromine-based, and when they burn, they can be quite toxic. So Alexium manufactures, incidentally, environmentally friendly flame retardants. So that's good. We want to see more stuff be environmentally friendly. There's nothing wrong with that at all, unless maybe you're a bromine flame retardant manufacturer. Under the chemical toxins bill, bromine-based flame retardants was going to be banned in the United States. Then Trump got in power, and of course, what do you know, the bill was shelved under the Trump government. Now, it looks like that bill is going to be revived, or there's a good chance the bill will be revived under a Biden-led Democratic government because they're going to be much more friendly, environmentally friendly, compared to the Trump administration. So I don't want to make this a sort of a political commentary because I am completely political neutral when it comes to videos and investing. I don't care what affiliate you look at or what the governments do. The only reason I might care is if they affect a particular shareholding or not. And in this case, it looks like Alexium will potentially benefit from a more environmentally friendly led government in the United States. So now let's get to the Appendix 4C. So Alexium is a small cap company, 35 million, not 350, I wish. And they were at one point, they did have a market cap a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, approaching 350 million, and they've gone back a fair bit because of management issues. Anyway, so receipts from customers last quarter, 1.7, and they're still cash flow negative, 340,000. Now, you can just see this is their cash receipts history. You can see going back to 2016-17, particularly 2007, you can see a massive spike in cash receipts. So management back then were more interested in growing revenue over margins. So they didn't care about the margins. So they just want to sort of obsess with just increasing the revenues at the expense of margins. They didn't care about margins. So even though those cash receipts were going through the roof, we didn't see any operating cash flow positivity-ness at all with the company. Then we got new management in. They said, we've got to cut out these really low margin customers. That's not really going to help our business moving forward. We're going to focus on the higher margin companies and products, and that's what they've done. And so, unfortunately, we have seen the receipts come down quite a bit. reached a bit of a trough back in late October 2018 or early 2019, and we've seen it generally rise up. So most of their products or customers are in bedding, and mostly to do with Alexium cooling. So that's bedding like sheets and that sort of thing, mattresses that when you lie down on them, it cools your body down, that sort of technology. So they're not really making any money from flame retardants yet, but I'm thinking they are hopeful of doing that. So this is just some reports, details from the report. So that first little detail, this new phone-on technology, is the reason why I'm interested in Alexium. And because I'm a runner, I have particular clothing I wear on runs. And you can just see here, this technology dramatically enhances the rate of cooling via novel cooling mechanism. So what this would suggest is if you're wearing a top when you go out running, and you go out running on a hot day and you get hot, the hotter you get, the more efficient the shirt becomes at cooling you down. So that's what this phone-on technology suggests. So it's a very exciting technology. And again, I'm buying into the story at the moment. And I don't really recommend that, not buying into the story. So there's a lot of stories out there. And this is one instance where I've decided, just because I'm going to be a big fan of this technology moving forward. And the second part they've just mentioned here is the margin improvements for key products. So again, the new management teams over the last few years have just focused on the margins. And I'm a big fan of just focusing on margins, because if you have high margins, any extra revenue that comes in the door will just go down to the bottom line. If you have really low margins, I don't think that's going to really help in the long term, because any increasing revenues won't go down the bottom line at all. So this is the chart over the last 6 months, and not too shabby at all. So they did reach the low point around the COVID-19 panic at the end of March. Into June, we did see the price get below 4 cents. Massive peak in price at the start of August, and that was the release of the announcements in regards to the phone-on technology. So I was not the only one getting excited by the announcement. Other people did too, and I did have bought into a very small stake into the company. And then recently, just that 25% rise a few days ago, saw the share price go from 5.6 to 7 cents, and the share price has held up fairly well as well following that, and we've seen an increase in volume too. So fairly bullish with this chart, but I think if we're ever going to see the share price run in the future, it's going to be based off them increasing their cash receipts on increasing margins or better margins and becoming cash flow positive. That would really see the share price take off, or that phone-on technology becomes a standard around the world and becomes some sort of government requirement for everyone to wear phone-on technology proofed clothing. That'd be awesome for Alexium and for me as I'm a shareholder. So that's all I've got on Alexium for this issue of my series of videos. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've taken something from it. Maybe I've entertained, educated you, or, whatnot. So I am not a professional advisor, so if you do need some professional advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified. That's all for today. Have a good day. Bye.